Part 1, Chapter 7 of Short History of the Christian Church, by John Fletcher Hurst. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 7. The Life of Christians. Every part of Christian life was in direct antagonism to that of the pagan Greeks and Romans. The Christians obliterated all social and national differences. No sooner was a new member received than he found himself in the midst of a brotherhood. "These Christians," says Bunsen, "belonged to no nation and to no state, but their fatherland in heaven was to them a reality, and the love of the brethren, in truth and not in words, made the Christian congregation the foreshadowing of a Christian commonwealth, and a model for all ages to come." The relief of the poor and suffering received early attention. Paul collected contributions from the Greek Christians in Asia Minor for the poor in Jerusalem. All his epistles prove that the poor in each society were constantly in his mind. No needy body of believers was forgotten in its silent sorrow. When, later, persecutions became violent and widespread, the spirit of apostolic sympathy was sustained in all its fervor. The pagans neglected their needy. Their religion had no heart. But the Christians sought out the suffering, and helped them with lavish hand. During the pestilence in North Africa, in the middle of the 3rd century, the pagans deserted their sick and dying, and stripped their bodies of valuables, while the Christians divided their means with the suffering, cleared the streets of decomposing bodies, and nursed the sick with tenderness and devotion. The early prominence given to woman was an important factor. Elizabeth, Anna, and Mary, the mother of Jesus, became early witnesses, however unconscious, to the dignity and worth of woman in the Christian system. The women mentioned by Paul in his epistles were examples of devotion and wisdom in the spread of the gospel. In times of persecution, women presented a sublime spectacle of readiness and composure in the hour of death. Perpetua and Felicitas, who cheerfully welcomed martyrdom, became types of womanly heroism in every part of Christendom. Christianity triumphed not only in the broad field of territorial expansion, but in the more subtle department of the whole structure of social life. Paganism was only a whited sepulchre. Its splendor was an exterior thing alone. It created no happy homes, for woman was without worth and children were no blessing. Wherever the Christians lived, they built up happy households. There was no attempt made to emancipate slaves. Obedience on their part was inculcated. Spiritually free and equal to their masters, their religious prerogatives did not elevate them above their station. Ignatius, died about 115, counsels slaves to serve the more zealously, that they may have the greater reward. Not until Chrysostom, in the 4th century, do we find any discussion of the evils of slavery, and proposals for a gradual emancipation. At the same time, Christianity applied its humane spirit to the slave. Paul's chart of freedom ran thus: "There is neither bond nor free." The slave, the moment he became a Christian, became a brother with his master. As Christianity expanded, its tendency was to bring the oppressed and the oppressor together, upon a common plane of brotherly equality. Paul's appeal to Philemon, to show kindness to the slave Onesimus and receive him back again, was an index of the power of Christianity to soften and even obliterate all the asperity attendant upon bondage in man. End of chapter 7.